Welcome to this video. I'm Christian from Being Premiere. And alright, Silo fans, prepare for chaos because Silo Episode 2, The Order, delivers some mind-blowing revelations after Juliet survival beyond the hill. The entire silo is turning into a powder keg of tension, rebellion, and as well shocking answers. So in this video, we're going to explain all the mysteries and theories that this episode is already setting up. So now, the silo is in absolute chaos after Juliet does the impossible, survives going over the hill. The opening scene with Bernard witnessing the countless bodies of failed cleaners makes her survival even more shocking. We have never seen anything like this before, so neither has anyone in the silo, because the entire power structure seems to be breaking down, with Bernard even consulting the Order like it's some kind of holy Bible to figure out what to do next. What's fascinating is the emergency protocols that kick in. The whole silo goes into lockdown with this creepy PSA announcement: return to your home as quickly as possible. Your safety is our only concern. But whose safety are they really concerned about? The citizens or the power structure? Robert tells Bernard that people are whispering about another rebellion. As we know, this is not the first time the silo has faced this. But Bernard responds that that's why they need to know. This hints at how they use information to control and to maintain order. The really intense part is watching how different levels of the silo react. The upper levels follow orders and return home, while down in mechanical we see absolute chaos. Knox tries to maintain control.
We just saw something no one has ever seen before.
Knox even tries to maintain control. Even him saying we can shut the silo down once.
And then they'll crush us.
And hey, in a way, Bernard is not prepared for this, but they have an immediate action, like the raiders announcing curfew, deputies under control, and even watching Dr. Nichols. It all feels like they have some things in plan in motion just in case, and we can see it here. Almost like they have planned, not for this exact scenario, but something similar, even though the Order doesn't cover it. Now, the most interesting part, as we know, is Bernard's order to detain the two people in the down deep. We know who it is, and he knows exactly who helped Juliet survive, suggesting the system is far more extensive than anyone realized. I mean, this whole episode shows us that the silo power structure is not just about maintaining order, it's also about controlling every aspect of their lives, right down to what they believe is possible or not. Now, we got glimpses of the janitor office where we see the server room as well. But the biggest part of this episode is how Bernard really finds a way to most brilliantly calculated political moves that we have seen so far. So after her survival, he needs to find absolute master plan of manipulation during the speech. And instead of denying what everyone saw, that obviously about surviving, that it was all like a plan and that they have all this tape. It's so interesting. Obviously, we know Shelley said it's a lie.
Switch the tape. The mayor's lying.
But the funny part of all of this is when someone shouts that Juliet was a traitor, Bernard flips the script.
Juliet Nichols was a fighter.
No, she was not a traitor. She was a fighter. And how it was all like a planned experiment. With that new tape, developed by the suit technicians, he turns for now, like he said, a massive threat into their control, into a supposed breakthrough, even promising is the first step towards leaving the silo. But wait, it gets even better. The judge makes a surprise speech as well as backing his play, even saying 5 credits to be bestowed upon every household to celebrate this great achievement. But think about what Bernard tells her later. I approach it like an equation. People saw a miracle, and I tried to tell them it didn't happen. But the mob saw what it saw. So I gave them a story to explain the 2 different kinds of tape. Oh, so, I mean, we know it's all a calculated manipulation. But the really fascinating part is how quickly this narrative starts falling apart. Shirley immediately calls out the lie, exposing the IT was using bad tape on purpose and someone from mechanical switched it. The fact that Knox has to intervene to help her shows how desperate they are to maintain the story. But here's what's really wild. Bernard actually admits to Judge that this cover story is, if anyone tries to tell a different story, then they have to disapprove of mine. And if that doesn't work, it's always a brute force. This whole sequence shows just how sophisticated the silo control system really is. It's not just about force, it's about narrative control, about giving people something to believe in, even when it's completely fabricated. But oh man, the seeds of rebellion in this episode are absolutely fascinating. We're seeing resistance bubbling up from multiple angles. It all centers around Shirley's explosive moment at Bernard's speech. But what's really interesting is how organized this resistance already seems to be. But let's break down this underground movement. First, we got Shirley, who wants to find answers. Even that conversation about the tape with Martha, that's how she knew it, because of that message that she left Juliet. But now we can see even Bernard saying the jail Juliet lives. It's showing up everywhere, so he mentions seeing it 3 times just on his way to the judge quarters, and that's in the upper levels. This is a coordinated action. As Martha says, when she heard about the graffiti, it's spreading through the silo like wildfire. The resistance seems to have 2 major factions, Martha and McLean, as we saw, who appears that they have a relationship, and now Shirley's group. However, as we know, if this happened, it's not going to be good, which I imagine is the reason that we saw that baby, because it's like, all of this doesn't matter. If you're going to do this, people like this baby are going to die, and they're not going to have any future. I love this contrast. And as we know, Bernard is really scared and worried about this rebellion because, as he said, he's afraid of what he saw. Thousands of bodies, an entire silo dead. So how does the episode end? Well, as we can see, Bernard has to deal with the judge about her desire to be clear-headed for the first time in 25 years because she wants to go outside with the good tape, just like Juliet did. Just to have that experience is absolutely crazy, even though she's going to die. But now let's break down this fascinating conversation between Knox and Mark because it tells us exactly how much the silo's power and dynamics work. This confirms the deep divide between the silo levels, but what's really interesting is Knox's casual response, which shows exactly how they know each other. And what's fascinating here is how Knox says how it feels different this time, and Chambers agrees. This implies they both lived through previous rebellions or uprisings. This too clearly share history, dating back to Knox's father. The conversation also reveals how Knox is playing multiple angles. I mean, his warning about the weapons manufacturing, he's trying to prevent violent rebellion while still maintaining his position of influence. This exchange adds more to Knox's character. I mean, we have seen him in this episode trying to maintain order, but that order is not going to happen. And another crucial scene is between Robert and Paul about becoming deputy. This reveals a massive manipulation at play. Robert tells Paul,
"It's only temporary, Paul. And we're getting the sheriff's department cleaned out."
And what's interesting about this scene is when Paul asks about writing his report about Juliet's cleaning, Robert basically feeds him the official story, which we know is false. And later when we see Robert working with Bernard. Now this whole sequences show how the power structure is working. False narrative, installing loyal followers in positions of power to eliminating any digital threat. We can see how Robert is clearly deep in Bernard's inner circle and involved in the silo most sensitive operations. I cannot believe we have to wait 1 week to see the next episode. Now that's my quick breakdown of this video, as well as my thoughts on what's being set up. I'm really looking forward to seeing more of it, as well as everything that Robert is doing, all the lies and the manipulation. But hey, in some cases we can understand what they're doing it, because if this happens, the whole silo is gonna crash down. But that's a breakdown. My name is Christian from Being Premiere, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.